Wall Street overnight. Well, US stocks came off a winning session with the Dow surging more than 1,000 points to end a four-day losing streak. Both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite jumped more than 2.5%. Now, this rally comes at a time when Trump has said he has no intention of firing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, whose term as Fed Chair is due to end in May 2026. Now, remember, this comment is a reversal of sorts for the US president, who fired off barbs against Powell as recently as Monday, calling the central bank leader a major loser. And he also demanded that interest rates be brought down immediately. Well, apart from those remarks and gains on the back of earnings, what also aided the sentiment were comments from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who hinted at the possibility of de-escalation in Trump's trade war. In fact, he mentioned to a group of investors in a closed-door meeting that no one thinks that the current status quo is sustainable. Now, these comments seem to have soothed investors' worries around trade policy tensions. Meanwhile, Trump has also indicated that final tariffs on Chinese exports to the US won't be anywhere near as high as 145%. However, duties won't be zero. Meanwhile, there's also some recovery when it comes to oil prices. Right, Shreyansi?
Well, absolutely. Some recovery is something that we saw coming in. In fact, to be very precise, a rise of more than $1 per barrel is what you saw coming in. You do have new US sanctions against Iran. Other than that, there's rising equity markets that also helped spark that recovery rally that we saw coming in from that prior session, steep sell-off, and it was quite the sell-off in the previous session. So when you take a look at the moves in the session gone by on Tuesday, you do have Brent crude futures that rose, like I mentioned, over $1 uptick coming in, 1.8% thereabout. Close around those $67 a barrel levels, and US WTI as well. Similar gains coming in, 1.5%. In fact, to the tune of about 2% uptick coming in for US WTI, $64 a barrel is where US WTI was at for most of the session. These were the kind of levels that you saw coming in as far as Brent and WTI were concerned. The United States, in fact, also has issued fresh sanctions when it comes to targeting an Iranian LPG and crude oil shipping magnate and his corporate network. You do have, despite Monday's recovery, still concerns persisting that US tariffs could be slashing global economic activity, also be weighing on demand. So that is definitely something that we're looking at in terms of factors for crude. Other than that, there's Russia's economy ministry that's also cut its forecast for the average price of Brent crude in 2025 by nearly 17% from its projection in September. So even that forecast is something that we're keeping a very close eye on, Kanishka.